me, and I love zombie media.
Come on, come on, come on.
What is that? What is that?
When I first watched The Walking Dead, I was 12 years old. I binged the first 5 seasons of the show during a summer vacation, and my life was pretty much forever changed after that. I started gravitating towards all kinds of apocalypse media, but the zombie media was what I always came back to. I think what most interests me in apocalypse media, and zombies especially, is the sort of crazy situations that we see characters go through.
What the fuck?
Situations that challenge our ideas of morality, what is right and wrong, what you would do in these certain situations. I love seeing my favorite characters go through trauma and turn into murderous hobos. It's cocaine to me. I don't know what it is. I also especially love the found family aspect of a lot of zombie media. A ragtag group of unlikely friends that, through trauma bonding, really become besties. It does it for me every time, I can't lie. But as a woman, woman, even though I love zombie media, every time I consume a new form of zombie media content, whether it be film, video game, TV show, book, there's always this thought at the back of my mind that kind of stops me from fully being immersed and fully escaping into that piece of media. That's the representation of female characters in zombie media. Let's talk about it. This is gonna be just some thoughts. I watch a lot of YouTube content about zombie stuff, especially The Walking Dead and The Last of Us, and I just wanted to give a brief overview. A lot of folks have talked about female representation in terms of The Last of Us Season 2, especially lately. I'm gonna briefly touch on that, but this is more like an overall thoughts about women in zombie media. We'll get into it. So, what is it that keeps me coming back to zombies in general? Like I said, it's the situations, trademark, that keeps me coming back. These situations that you probably wouldn't encounter in real life without the zombies, without the zombie apocalypse, that kind of put into perspective these different power dynamics that we do have in our real society. You'll watch the first few seasons of The Walking Dead and you realize, okay, the men seem to be taking the role of protecting the group immediately, or they feel the pressure to be that role. Rick as the sheriff.
Who the hell are you, man?
Officer Friendly.
Is still trying to manage this little group with rules that he learned in the real world, and you could say that the whole show is about him discovering that it's a whole new set of rules, it's a whole new Wild West that he needs to learn how to live in.
Stop acting like you know the way ahead, like you know the rules.
There are no rules, man. We're lost.
No.
It's about unlikely relationships that probably wouldn't blossom in the real world that are essential in the apocalypse. That's what keeps me coming back. It's these situations. And like I said, I love a found family trope. It's gonna get me every time. A grumpy old man taking care of a little girl that restores his faith in humanity. You know, it's a tale as old as time. I also love... I think I have this weird relationship with like religion where I'm so interested in the way new religions and communities form in the apocalypse. Take the Seraphites in The Last of Us, take any cannibalism in The Last of Us or The Walking Dead, for example. Take the WLF, take whatever faction, the Whisperers, what have you. Like, there's something about the ways people cope with the exponential loss and confusion that an apocalypse inevitably strikes in us that is so juicy to me. It's so interesting to me. This is what I love about zombie media, but what about women in zombie media? What's a good transition here? Women.
Women.
While I I want to focus kind of on the negative representations of female characters. There are really, really good ones in zombie media, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, you could argue that even the negative ones that I'm gonna mention have good elements to them. Like, it's not all black and white, obviously. A lot of the types of female characters I'm going to talk about vary in terms of like genre and medium anyway, but who's the coolest is obviously going to be Michonne from The Walking Dead. Listen, when you're 12 years old and you're watching The Walking Dead, hopefully an original experience, but when you're 12 years old and you're watching The Walking Dead for the first time, and a woman appears in a hood with 2 chain walkers and a katana, yeah, that's immediately the coolest character you've ever seen, ever, and will remain the coolest character you've ever seen. Michonne Grimes, I think she's married, canonically now. This is my girl. That's my girl personally. I think Michonne Grimes embodies everything I want to be. She's kind of a power escapist fantasy for me where she is, like all the characters I love, incredibly touched by loss and trauma, and she's very in touch with her feelings while also suppressing them a lot. While being incredibly badass in the apocalypse, she ends up finding her family again in the form of new people. It's great. I love Michonne. This kind of brings me to my first grievance, in a way, with the way women are represented in zombie media. Because like I said, I love these murderous hobos. Like, Rick's murder jacket is a character in itself. And what kind of bothers me is that while we have female characters for sure that are also murderous hobos, I feel like women can really win when it comes to surviving the apocalypse, in the sense that either you're helpless, a burden to the group, you don't have any survival skills, or you have too much vengeance, you're too angry, you're not feminine enough, you need to let this go. I feel like even we're not going to get into all of the implications of The Last of Us. So many people have talked about it in way better forms than me already, but I do think that while I love the revenge aspect of The Last of Us 2 and the cycle of violence and whatever, I think there is something to be said about this insistence on female characters learning to forgive and forget, and to learn from their mistakes, and learn to not have hate in their heart, whereas I feel like male characters have kind of the opposite expectation, is that a revenge story is pretty much expected. When someone attacks against Rick's group, you're like, okay, let's put the jacket on. Like, it's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to watch Rick bite a guy's throat off and say, I'm thinking I don't have to kill any of you.
Any more of you?
There's so many iconic Rick Grimes quotes in the show. Wow. But anyway, even though in the end, Rick is like, my mercy prevails over my wrath and all that kind of stuff, I think more often than not, male characters they get to be cool and badass murderers. This sounds wrong.
Oh, that's no. In the sense that, no. You know what I mean? Like, but
I feel like male characters don't have that same level of expectation of unlearning their violence, if that makes sense. Yeah. There's this insistence, I feel, to wrap up female characters' violence with a bow. I mean, we saw with The Last of Us Season 2 where a story, you could say, in its original form is literally all about violence, and then the male creators go ahead and say, well, we're not really focused on the violence this time. Huh? I want to talk about the insistence that female characters being strong and crazy is unrealistic. I mean, we saw this with The Last of Us 2, girl. That was the trenches. When The Last of Us 2 came out, The Last of Us 2 is the only video game I've ever pre-ordered. Like, I was writing for that game. And when that shit leaked, that was a hard time to be a woman on the internet. If you didn't play that game when it came out, I'm so jealous of you. Those Gamergate moments that happened in 2020 when The Last of Us 2 came out need to be studied in history books. Remember the meme that was like that someone made with their full chest that said, "Thank you, all these games, for not being political, except you, The Last of Us 2," and the other games were like COD and Bioshock. That should have been our first warning sign that media literacy is down the toilet. Absolutely down the toilet. But even then, the way people were going after, especially Abby's character, for her muscly physique, insisting that it's unrealistic for a woman to be this muscly in the apocalypse. Now, why? My question is why? Why are we so mad when a female character, especially in video games, doesn't fit these crazy beauty standards? Why is it so unrealistic for a woman to be strong and capable in her abilities physically? I feel like in video games, unless the price a woman has to pay for being strong is sexualization a lot of the time. Like, you look at the Resident Evil series, which I love. Ada Wong is kicking ass, but she has to be in stripper heels and a bodycon dress. You know, that's the price she has to pay. No one's saying her skills are unrealistic because her boobs are defying gravity. Like, that's the price the female characters, I feel like, have to pay in video games. You could argue, obviously, Resident Evil is more camp in general and isn't as grounded as The Last of Us, for example, and especially the newer games are making an effort to sexualize everybody equally.
Think you can swallow me whole, huh?
Nonetheless, I feel like sexualization is a price that female characters have to pay for being accepted in their abilities. And people are still making think pieces about how these female characters are ugly. Ellie is too ugly. She was way prettier as a 14-year-old. She's way too ugly now. She's so, like, masculine, whatever that means. Abby, you know, I can't jerk off to her, so I'm not buying this game. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. And I want to give my perspective as a woman who plays video games. Like, I've always had to, even though, you know, female characters have for a long time been represented in video games, it's not like I always had to choose a male avatar, but like, as a person who loves story-driven linear games, I've played a lot of dudes, and for the most part, I've kind of come to accept that, okay, if I want to play as a female character, they're going to be sexualized in some way a lot of the time, and I've tried to accept that, and it's not great. It's not great that even though about half of the people who play video games identify as women, it's still, the female experience is still seen as niche. You know, I invoke fucking Invisible Woman. That book keeps haunting me in my dreams, but you know, the male experience is seen as universal, something that everybody can relate to, but the female experience is niche and not something everybody can relate to, even though the demographic is about 50-50 to both, so I don't know. That's about it. I've played a lot of dudes, and I've accepted, like, I love those stories. I love Red Dead 2, I love the Uncharted series, I love these games where I'm playing as a guy, a really old dude. The moment we get games where the female character, I'm like, oh, I can, like, that's a real person. I look at Ellie, I look at Abby, and I'm like, those are real people that are flawed, but they're real people. And I can't lie, I feel some sort of empowerment when I play as Abby and I'm beating up these guys with my bare hands. Like I like it. I can't lie. Like, I'm a simple gal. I do, like, that does empower me, because that isn't, unfortunately, still in 2025, that's still seen as, like, controversial, to have a female character that doesn't have to pay for her power by sexualization. Why do we hate strong women in zombie media? But you look at folks like Lori, girl. Let's talk about Lori fucking Grimes. The way, I think she's a great example of, yes, a flawed person, but who people hate more than men who kill people. Is she winning any Mother of the Year awards, as in her words? No. The way people make her out to be the spawn of Satan is kind of crazy. Like, she's an important character in the way that she's kind of the catalyst for Rick changing completely. But she thought her husband was dead. Someone attempts to rape her. She wants to terminate her pregnancy, but her husband says no. And then everybody continues to treat her as a burden in the apocalypse because she is pregnant. And then she dies a brutal death where she traumatizes her son. Yeah. Crazy. Do I think she's a perfect person? No, but I love imperfect people in zombie media. That's my jam. The last thing I want to mention is one other thing that takes me out of completely immersing myself into zombie media as a woman, and this is about a good or a bad thing, is that at the end of the day, the biggest threats to women in these post-apocalypse worlds, always every time, aren't zombies. There are other people, and men specifically. It'll be you wanting to terminate your pregnancy, but your partner saying no. Your partner being tortured physically while you get tortured sexually. You being given as a consolation prize or trade for another faction. The sexual violence is always looming, I feel like. Especially in the early seasons of The Walking Dead, they did kind of turn that around in the last few seasons. And you could say, like, that's realistic. That's if an actual apocalypse would be to break out. I'd say it is realistic betrayal, but it doesn't stop the fact that it is always at the back of my mind. That even in spaces where I feel, oh, this is a badass woman that I'm seeing, I feel represented, I feel escapism, I'm still stopped just a little bit, just off the edge. I'm like, okay, yeah. At the end of the day, the female experience is stronger than the powers of this genre. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. So what? So what did I what did I say? What did I say exactly in this video? I just wanted to kind of express my kind of mixed feelings about the fact that female characters cannot escape their gender, even in these fantastic sci-fi genres. Like, even in genres where everything is possible, where crazy things happen, them being strong is still unrealistic. They have to be sexualized for a wider audience to accept that they're powerful, and sexual violence is always looming over their heads. So it's very interesting how we kind of consciously and unconsciously carry these gendered expectations even to the apocalypse, which I said in the beginning is kind of what draws me to the genre, is seeing how even in situations that no one prepares you for, we still kind of unconsciously carry on these power dynamics from a real society. I don't have another word for it. It upsets me that the idea of someone like me surviving the apocalypse is unrealistic. It's not immersive, and it's woke. It's woke propaganda. That's what that is. Oh my god. What if I want to be a murderous hobo? What if what if I want to put on my metaphorical murder jacket and go down a crazy road? What if that empowers me? What then? What then? I'm not making any sense. Yeah. Whatever.
Let me tell you something else.